The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was exactly as pompous as Ambassador Chen had expected, which was saying something, considering she'd spent 15 years in diplomatic service dealing with entities who thought interpretive dance was an acceptable form of trade negotiation. Massive crystalline columns stretched toward a ceiling that seemed to exist in theoretical space, while anti-gravity platforms carried various alien dignitaries in what could only be described as a zero-G ballet of bureaucracy. The chamber floors were polished to mirror-shine perfection, reflecting the light of 3 artificial suns that served no purpose except dramatic lighting. "Your application for membership," intoned High Counselor Zixitl-Kick, which Chen had mentally nicknamed Bob because life was too short for 17 consonants, "will now be reviewed according to the sacred protocols of assessment as laid down by the founding races in the time of great deliberation, during the 3rd epoch of cooperative governance, under the light of wisdom, in accordance with—" Chen checked her neural implants clock. Bob had been going for 23 minutes and hadn't actually said anything yet. She'd seen entire peace treaties negotiated in less time. The other council members nodded sagely from their floating platforms, their ceremonial robes billowing in what Chen strongly suspected was artificially generated wind for dramatic effect. One of them, a gelatinous blob wearing what appeared to be a disco ball as a hat, was actually humming along to Bob's speech. "And thus we come to the matter of tribute," Bob finally concluded, all 4 of his eye stalks focusing on Chen with what she assumed was meant to be gravitas. "Earth is prepared to negotiate reasonable terms," Chen replied diplomatically, while mentally calculating how much longer until her next coffee break. The Council's no outside beverages rule was barbaric. "The Council has considered long and hard," Bob announced, which Chen knew was a lie, because she'd watched them play the alien equivalent of rock, paper, scissors earlier when they thought no one was looking. "We require your coffee." Chen blinked. "I'm sorry, could you clarify your coffee?" "All of it." "All of what exactly?" "Your entire planetary supply of the substance known as coffee, all production facilities, all stored reserves, all growing operations, the complete caffeine infrastructure of Earth." The chamber fell silent, except for the dramatic wind which someone forgot to turn off. "Just to be completely clear," Chen said carefully, "you want us to give you all of Earth's coffee, as in all of it, every last bean?" "Correct." Bob seemed pleased she'd understood. "A most reasonable tribute, is it not? Merely a single beverage." Chen thought about Earth's 3 billion coffee addicts. She thought about Monday mornings without lattes. She thought about telling the president that humans would have to switch to tea. She smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of someone who had once worked retail during holiday season and still had flashbacks. "High Counselor," she said sweetly, "I will convey your request to Earth's governments. I'm sure their response will be energetic." As Chen left the chamber, she was already composing the message in her head. "Urgent diplomatic update. Council tribute demand. Status, oh hell no. Recommendation, time to show these people why you don't get between humanity and its coffee." The Council had just unknowingly declared war on Earth's most precious resource. They were about to learn that while humanity could survive without a lot of things, coffee wasn't one of them. And Karen Chen, who hadn't had her afternoon espresso yet, was going to enjoy explaining this to them. Preferably with extreme prejudice. The emergency session of the United Nations Coffee Defense Force convened at 0300 hours, because that's when everyone's caffeine levels were lowest, and the situation could be properly appreciated. The UNCDF, originally created as a joke department after the Great Coffee Shortage of 2157, was now Earth's first line of defense against the unthinkable. General Maria Santos, running on her 6th espresso, addressed the bleary-eyed assembly. "Ladies, gentlemen, and caffeine-dependent entities of Earth," she began, pacing before the world's military leaders. "At 14:27 hours yesterday, we received what can only be described as an act of war." The holoscreen displayed Ambassador Chen's message. The room erupted into chaos. "They want all the coffee? What do they mean all? Do they understand what coffee is? Has anyone checked if this is a translation error? Can we just give them decaf and pretend?" "Silence," Santos slammed her coffee mug down. "We're looking at a level 1 coffee emergency. Yes, that's now a thing. Ambassador Chen is patched in to provide details." Chen's hologram appeared, clutching what appeared to be her emergency backup coffee thermos. "The Council is serious. They want everything. Beans, plants, instant coffee. Even those weird coffee-flavored candies no one actually likes. Have they lost their minds? Asked Admiral Wong, who hadn't blinked in 3 hours. They don't understand, Chen explained. None of their species evolved with caffeine. They think it's just a luxury beverage we can easily give up. Like hot chocolate, but bitter. Just a beverage? The Russian representative looked personally offended. Perhaps we should show them what happens when you try to take coffee from humans at 6 a.m. on a Monday. That's banned under the Geneva Convention, someone muttered. President Martinez, who had been quietly stress-drinking an Americano, finally spoke. Options. General Santos brought up a tactical display. We have 3 choices. 1, surrender all coffee. The room temperature dropped 10 degrees from the collective cold stares. 2, try to negotiate. With what leverage? Chen's hologram asked. They control access to the galactic community. They think they're being generous asking for just coffee. 3, Santos continued, a dangerous gleam in her eye. We declare war. Silence fell, broken only by the sound of sipping coffee. War? Martinez raised an eyebrow. Over coffee? Not war, Chen clarified quickly. More like a strongly caffeinated disagreement, with possible tactical applications of espresso machines. Has any species ever refused tribute? Wong asked. Never, Chen replied. They're quite proud of that fact. Put it in their brochures and everything. Santos grinned. So we'd be the first? I like it. Nothing makes humans more creative than combining caffeine and spite. It would need to be handled carefully, Martinez mused. We can't appear too aggressive. Oh, we'll be perfectly polite, Chen assured them. Aggressively polite. Customer service polite. The kind of polite that makes people worry. The tactical display shifted to show Earth's coffee production facilities, military assets, and, most importantly, the location of every Starbucks in human space. I've prepared Earth's official response, Chen said, pulling up a document. It's diplomatic, professional, and contains exactly 17 hidden coffee puns. Also, I may have included a gift basket of decaf just to be petty. The Assembly reviewed the declaration. It was, technically speaking, a declaration of war. It was also written in the tone of a strongly worded Yelp review. We regret to inform you that your request for Earth's coffee supply has been reviewed and rejected due to irreconcilable differences regarding the fundamental nature of morning functionality. Martinez read aloud. As such, we have no choice but to respond with extreme customer dissatisfaction. I particularly like the part about brewing conflict, Santos noted. The Council won't know what hit them, Chen said. They've never dealt with caffeinated warfare before. No one has. We're about to invent an entirely new form of combat. Operation Barista Strike, suggested Wong. Perfect, Santos declared. Let's show them why you don't mess with humanity before it's morning coffee. The vote was unanimous, possibly because no one in the room had slept in 36 hours, and it seemed like a brilliant idea at the time. Earth would go to war over coffee, and they would do it with style, efficiency, and extremely aggressive customer service. Chen's hologram smiled that same dangerous smile from the council chamber. I'll deliver our response personally. Anyone want me to add a coffee stain to the declaration, just to drive the point home? And that's how humanity became the first species in galactic history to respond to a tribute demand with what amounted to a weaponized coffee shop loyalty program. The council wouldn't know what hit them until they were already asking for a loyalty card. Operation Barista Strike began at dawn because humans had a flair for symbolism, and that's when most people needed coffee anyway. The USS Arabica, humanity's first coffee-powered warship, led the fleet. Its revolutionary caffeine fusion drive left a trail of roasted beans smell across space, confusing enemy sensors and making everyone slightly jittery. Captain Sarah O'Malley stood on the bridge, her command chair modified to include a cup holder. Status report on Team Espresso. Strike teams are in position, Captain, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from his tactical station, which was designed to look like a vintage espresso machine. The macchiato maneuvers are ready to begin. The fleet's powered armor units had been repainted to resemble various coffee drinks. Team Espresso's sleek black armor featured pressure gauge displays and steam vents. Squad Latte had gone with a more artistic approach, complete with foam art designs. The Frappuccino Force had attached whipped cream dispensers to their helmets, which was completely unnecessary but amazing for morale. Enemy vessels approaching, Rodriguez announced. They appear to be confused by our formation. On the main screen, the Council's ships moved in rigid, textbook patterns. The human fleet, by contrast, was arranged in what could only be described as a coffee shop queue. "Open a channel," O'Malley ordered. "Let's offer them our special of the day." The alien commander appeared on screen, all six eyes blinking in bewilderment at O'Malley's cheerful smile. "Welcome to Operation Barista Strike. Would you like to try our signature drink? It comes with complimentary surrender options and a buy-one-get-one-free deal on not getting shot." "This is most irregular," the alien commander protested. "Military protocols require—" "I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to stop you there," O'Malley interrupted politely. "We're running a special promotion. Surrender now and get a free coffee. It's our new customer acquisition program." "What is this coffee you keep—" The transmission cut off as Team Espresso breached the alien flagship's hull. Through the tactical feed, O'Malley watched as Marines in coffee cup armor stormed the ship's corridors, setting up mobile brewing stations as they went. "Ma'am," Rodriguez reported, trying not to laugh, "Team Espresso reports they've seized the enemy break room and are installing a premium coffee maker." "Excellent. Deploy the loyalty cards." Across the battlefield, the pattern repeated. Human forces would capture a position and immediately set up a coffee shop. By the time reinforcements arrived, half the defenders were already in line, asking about the rewards program. The Council's military command was baffled. Their reports made no sense. Enemy forces have taken Station 7, established retail presence. Crew of Outpost 12 defected after trying something called a caramel macchiato. Request clarity. Is a coffee break a form of military surrender? On Station 9, a Council security officer stared at the cup in his hands, mandibles twitching. What is this sensation?" he asked the human Marine who'd given him the drink. "That's caffeine, my friend," the Marine replied, already preparing another cup. "First one's free. Would you like to hear about our membership benefits?" By the end of the first week, the Council faced an unprecedented crisis. Their forces weren't just being defeated. They were being converted into customers. Emergency sessions were called as reports flooded in. 3 destroyer crews have requested barista training. Station commanders demanding installation of espresso machines. Multiple units refusing to fight until they've had their morning coffee. What is a pumpkin spice latte, and why are our troops deserting to get one? The Council's military analyst Zertil prepared an emergency briefing. "The humans," he explained to the horrified Council, "are not merely conquering our forces, they're establishing a market presence. Every captured position becomes a coffee shop. They're creating demand for a product only they can supply." "Surely our troops can resist a mere beverage?" High Councillor Bob demanded. Zertil twitched nervously, hiding a takeout cup behind his back. "Sir, with respect, have you tried their cold brew? It's quite remarkable." "Are you drinking it now? Would you like to try some? I have a spare loyalty card." The situation deteriorated rapidly. Human ships would arrive at military installations, broadcast drink menus instead of demands, and wait. Half the time, the defenders would surrender before the first shot, asking if they could get their orders started while the paperwork was processed. Ambassador Chen, now serving as Supreme Coffee Relations Commander, sent daily updates to Earth. Operation Barista Strike proceeding better than expected. Enemy forces now rating us 5 stars on Galactic Yelp. Request permission to franchise captured stations. Also, Council species have discovered coffee art, sending videos of alien baristas attempting leaf patterns. It's adorable. The Council's worst nightmare had come true. They hadn't just started a war. They'd accidentally created a galaxy-wide coffee addiction. Their own forces were posting coffee reviews in the middle of battles. Military channels were filled with debates about roasting techniques and brewing methods. The final straw came when an entire Council battle group surrendered because they'd run out of coffee pods. Their surrender message read simply, "Send barista. Must have experience with alternative milk options. Urgent." In her office aboard the USS Arabica, Captain O'Malley reviewed the latest statistics. 2,000 coffee shops established in captured territory. 15,000 alien baristas trained, 1 million loyalty cards issued, countless beings introduced to caffeine addiction, 0 actual battles fought, not counting arguments over whether vanilla syrup belonged in espresso. "Lieutenant Rodriguez," she called over the comm, "what's our status?" "Ma'am, we've just received word. The Council's 3rd Fleet is approaching." "Battle stations?" "No, ma'am. They're asking if we do mobile ordering. Apparently they want coffee ready when they surrender." O'Malley smiled. The galaxy was learning what Earth had known for centuries. Resistance to coffee was futile. And the best part of waking up was universal surrender. It was during a routine ransacking of council archives, which humans insisted on calling inventory management, that analyst Zotil, now thoroughly addicted to cold brew, made the discovery. He nearly dropped his fourth coffee of the day when he saw it. "Ambassador Chen," he called out, mandibles quivering with caffeine and excitement. "You need to see this." Chen, who had been supervising the installation of a premium coffee bar in the council's sacred library, walked over. "Found their secret cookie recipe?" "Better," Zotil said, pulling up an ancient holographic text. "It's about the Great Awakening." "The what now?" "An ancient prophecy. Every council species knows it. The promise that one day a force would come that would awaken the galaxy to its true potential." He paused for dramatic effect, took a sip of coffee, then continued. "We always thought it was about spiritual enlightenment." Chen studied the shifting symbols. "Let me guess, someone did a bad translation." "Worse, we did a pre-coffee translation." The hologram showed the original text, written in what appeared to be a very jittery hand. "From beyond the stars shall come the awakeners, bearing the sacred brew of life, their vessels trailing the scent of destiny, their warriors dispensing enlightenment with mechanical precision. And all shall know the true meaning of being awake." "Oh no," Chen said, fighting back laughter. "Please tell me this isn't going where I think it's going." "It gets better," Zotil continued, scrolling through the text. "The prophecy speaks of retail outlets of wisdom and loyalty programs of destiny. There's an entire section about the great line of waiting where all shall stand in equality." They predicted Starbucks lines. The ancients were very perceptive. Chen sat down processing this information while absently stirring her latte. "So you're telling me that humanity's cosmic destiny was to be the galaxy's baristas?" "Look at the evidence," Zotil insisted. "Since coffee's introduction, council productivity is up 300%. 3 species have developed entirely new technologies just to make better brewing machines. The Hive Mind Collective has started doing coffee breaks. They'd never taken a break in their entire history." He pulled up more data, charts showing massive improvements in everything from technological development to diplomatic relations, all correlating with coffee consumption. Even warfare had become more efficient, mostly because everyone wanted to finish fighting in time for their afternoon cappuccino. "The prophecy says the awakeners would change the very fabric of society through ritualistic daily offerings," Zotil continued. "What did you humans call it? The coffee shop culture?" "We're not a prophesied species," Chen protested. "We're just really intense about caffeine." "You literally conquered half the galaxy by installing coffee shops. That's just good business sense." Their discussion was interrupted by an urgent message. The full council had convened for an emergency session. Chen and Zotil rushed to the Grand Chamber, where they found a very different scene from a few weeks ago. The formerly rigid council members were lounging in newly installed cafe-style seating. The artificial suns had been reprogrammed to create what humans called perfect coffee shop lighting. Someone had even put up motivational posters featuring coffee puns. High Councillor Bob, wearing what appeared to be a barista apron over his ceremonial robes, called the session to order. "We have reviewed the ancient prophecy," he announced, pausing to sip from a mug that said "World's Best High Councillor," "and we have come to a conclusion. Resistance is both futile and unnecessarily tiring." The chamber erupted in murmurs of agreement and the clinking of coffee cups. "Humanity," Bob continued, "was not merely meant to join the galactic community. They were meant to wake it up, literally, with caffeine." Chen stepped forward. "High Councillor, we're not—" "The prophecy speaks truth. Look at what coffee has already done. The Hive Mind Collective is experiencing individual thoughts for the first time, mostly about whether to try pumpkin spice. The warrior clans have discovered the joy of coffee shop poetry nights. Even the time monks have started caring about being on schedule for coffee breaks." The evidence was undeniable. The galaxy was changing, one cup at a time. Coffee wasn't just a drink anymore. It was becoming the foundation of a new galactic culture. "We're not the bad guys," Chen addressed the council, finally understanding. "We're just really aggressive baristas, and maybe that's exactly what the galaxy needed." "The prophecy called it the Great Awakening," Zotil added, "but perhaps a better translation would be the Great Coffee Break." As if to prove his point, the entire chamber took a synchronized sip from their various cups. "Therefore," Bob declared, "the Council hereby recognizes Earth not just as a member world, but as the prophesied baristas of the galaxy. All military actions are reclassified as extreme customer service. And most importantly, he paused for dramatic effect, we're going to need a lot more coffee. Chen smiled. Would you like to hear about our wholesale prices? The council chamber broke into applause, although it was unclear if they were celebrating the prophecy or the fact that someone had just brought in a fresh pot of coffee. And so it was that humanity fulfilled its cosmic destiny, not through warfare or diplomacy, but through perfectly brewed coffee and really persistent customer service. The galaxy had finally awakened, and it really needed its morning coffee. The official surrender ceremony of the Galactic Council was delayed 3 times because everyone needed coffee refills. When it finally began, it looked less like a diplomatic event and more like a cafe grand opening. Ambassador Chen stood before the council trying to maintain diplomatic composure while watching High Counselor Bob attempt to make latte art. He wasn't doing badly, considering his species didn't have hands. In recognition of humanity's unique contribution to galactic society, Bob began, pausing to sip from his council boss mug. We hereby surrender completely and enthusiastically, not because we lost, mind you. Of course not, Chen agreed politely. We simply realized that fighting humans for coffee was counterproductive when we could be drinking coffee instead. Bob gestured to his fellow council members, who were all clutching various caffeinated beverages. Also, we're pretty sure half our military has applied for barista certification. The surrender terms were unprecedented in galactic history. 1. Earth was to become the official coffee supplier to the galaxy. 2. All space stations required at least 1 coffee shop per deck. 3. Barista training was to be included in diplomatic education. 4. Coffee breaks were now mandatory by galactic law. 5. The phrase, "but first coffee," was added to the council motto. Furthermore, Bob continued, humanity is hereby appointed as the official baristas of the galaxy, with all rights, privileges, and tip jar opportunities thereof. Chen signed the document, which was printed on recycled coffee filter paper. I assume the council will want to establish proper coffee infrastructure. We've already converted 3 warships into mobile roasting facilities, one council member admitted. The warrior clans are arguing about who gets to grow the beans. Apparently, they find agricultural warfare appealing. The changes happened fast. Starbucks executives were spotted having panic attacks as they tried to handle suddenly having franchises in 17 dimensions. The galactic economy restructured itself around coffee trading. New professions emerged: cross-species barista, coffee psychic, quantum foam artist. The council chamber itself underwent renovation. The dramatic anti-gravity platforms were replaced with comfortable cafe seating. The artificial suns were reprogrammed to create perfect coffee-drinking ambience. Chen personally supervised the installation of a top-of-the-line espresso machine right next to the speaker's podium. You know, Chen remarked to Zertil as they watched the transformation, this is probably the first war in history won by weaponized addiction. Nonsense, Zertil replied on his 6th espresso of the day. This wasn't a war, it was an extremely aggressive marketing campaign. The effects on galactic society were profound. The Hive Mind Collective developed individual personalities based on coffee preferences. The time monks started actually showing up on time for coffee breaks. The warrior clans redirected their fighting energy into heated debates about roasting techniques. 3 new species achieved faster than light travel just to reach their favorite cafe faster. 6 months after the surrender, Chen attended a regular council session. The scene would have been unrecognizable to her former self. Council members lounged in comfortable chairs, discussing policy over artisanal brews. The formerly rigid protocols now included scheduled coffee breaks. Someone had started a Council Cup of the Month club. Order, Bob called, tapping his gavel, which doubled as a coffee tamper. First item, the galaxy-wide shortage of oat milk substitutes suitable for silicon-based lifeforms. Point of order, called out a gelatinous entity. Can we deal with this after my cappuccino arrives? Motion to wait for cappuccino. Seconded. All in favor. The vote was unanimous, it always was when coffee was involved. Chen smiled, sipping her own drink. Her neural implant pinged with the latest statistics. 50,000 space station coffee shops opened. 1 million alien baristas trained. Infinite customer satisfaction. 0 conflicts, not counting debates about whether cold brew was superior to hot. 1 galaxy successfully caffeinated. The Council's original demand for tribute had transformed into the greatest cultural exchange in history. Earth had given the galaxy coffee, and the galaxy had given Earth, well, a lot of very enthusiastic customers. As she watched Bob attempt to explain the concept of a coffee nap to a bewildered new species representative, Chen couldn't help but feel proud. Humanity had achieved peace through aggressive hospitality, conquered through customer service, and united the galaxy through carefully calibrated caffeine addiction. The final addition to the council chamber was a small plaque, installed next to the espresso machine. It read, "Here marks the spot where the galaxy finally woke up. Coffee is coming. Resistance was futile. Would you like room for cream?" And if sometimes late at night, Chen wondered whether introducing an entire galaxy to caffeine addiction was entirely responsible. Well, that's what decaf was for. Though she'd never tell the council that. Some secrets were best kept between baristas. Chen's final report to Earth's government included a curious postscript that would later prove prophetic. P.S. Remember how we thought introducing coffee to the galaxy was our grand finale? Funny story. During my last meeting with High Counselor Bob, he mentioned something about ancient records of an even older civilization. Apparently, they left behind artifacts covered in symbols that looked suspiciously like coffee rings. He asked if humans knew anything about the first baristas. I told him we were too busy with our current caffeine empire to investigate ancient coffee mysteries. But between you and me, those artifacts had traces of something that might be coffee. Really, really old coffee. So either we weren't the first species to weaponize caffeine, or someone out there has been playing an extremely long game. Also, the time monks have started having visions after their third espresso. They keep muttering about the Greater Awakening and the return of the original roasters. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about, probably. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? We've already gotten the galaxy addicted to coffee. How much more interesting could it get? I probably shouldn't have asked that. Standing by for further instructions, preferably with more coffee. Ambassador Chen, Official Galactic Coffee Relations Commander. PPS, the Time Monks just ordered 17 more espresso machines. They say they're preparing. I didn't ask for what. As Chen sent the report, she glanced at the ancient artifact recently installed in the council chamber's new coffee museum. Under certain lights, those really did look like coffee stains. And sometimes, when the artificial suns hit them just right, they seemed to glow with an oddly familiar warmth. She made a mental note to order more coffee, just in case. After all, if humanity had managed to caffeinate one galaxy, who knew what other cosmic beverages might be brewing out there in the dark between the stars? But that, as they say, was a story for another coffee break. Or perhaps it was the beginning of one.